Hi, I'm Destiny Espinoza, and this is my Chicanos Studies final presentation. For number one, I specifically targeted, my specific target audience would be someone like my parents or my younger brother who don't really know about Chicano studies, but since I took this course, I would be able to give them more information about it, and I would also give them some descriptions and examples of the activities we would do in class. So I would start by explaining that Chicano studies is the studies and observations of the Latino movement of Mexican Americans who were motivated to fight against the negative portrayal of their past. A course such as this one would go over the before, during, and after effects that occurred because of such an exhilarating movement. Many lives were sacrificed for the freedom and opportunities that we Mexican Americans have today. It would have not been possible without the help of many legendary spokespersons, activists, and protesters. When watching videos and movies, listening to podcasts, and reading articles about the lives of Chicanos that live, it gives you such an inside look on what occurred during the movement, such as the significantly known El Movimiento from 1965 up until 1975, which was about 10 years, as well as the school walkouts and blowouts, which occurred during the time that my mom was in school because she lived in East LA, so she experienced that. But she wasn't really comfortable speaking about it. So once I learned about it, I was so eager to learn more about it as well. And another movement such as the farm workers' labor strikes and the formation of the United Farm Workers Union from 1965 up till 1970. And this can all be found in the Understanding Chicano and Chicano Studies lecture slides. When we dive deeper into the El Movimiento, as a class, we discussed how the intro to Chicano studies began, and we watched a documentary named Generations of Exclusion, Mexican Americans, Assimilation, and Race, and this was produced in 2009. When diving deeper into El Movimiento, as a class, we discussed how the introduction to Chicano studies began, and we watched a documentary named Generations to Exclusion, Mexican Americans, Assimilation, and Race, which was published in 2009. This film included the movement surrounding farm labor and what it did for the Chicano movement and how it really kick-started the civil rights movement. This documentary showed how newer generations have taken from El Movimiento and begun to use it to motivate the new aspects of the Chicano movement. Ethnic studies and Chicano studies are now allowing a platform for students to see and discuss El Movimiento and use it to evaluate where the movement is now and where it will be in the future. As for the future generations, it is a safe and educational environment in the classroom for them. The two topics that stood out to me the most during this course were the Chicana epistemologies and Chicano art expression. Before going into the lectures, I first did not know what the epistemologies meant. And second, I'm not an artistic person, so I walked in after reading the readings, and I was questioning. I was like, I'm not sure if I'm really gonna understand this, but it was really eye-opening, and I'm so glad I did not go in with a closed mind. So after reading those lectures and being involved in them, I walked out feeling seen, and as if I'm not the only one in this world with these silly little family traditions. And I also walked out viewing art in different ways I had not before. Usually, again, I'm not an artistic person. I would see a piece of art, well, that's pretty, oh, interesting. But now seeing it kind of gave me a new insight on it and how I should be viewing art in not only one way, but opening my mind up to it more. Such an eye-opening lecture led to learning about Chicana feminist epistemology, which is a marginalized form of knowing that resists dominant paradigms used to understand reality. This was quoted from Week 12 Chicana Epistemology's lecture slides. As for the Chicano art expression topic, I enjoyed reading about the local art pieces around the area and their historical meaning, some of which were good and bad meanings behind them, such as the one my group did about the Placentia mural that was put up and taken down right away. This Chicano movement surfaced in the late 1960s in the US, and it pushed against the formation of civil rights struggles. While advocating for equality at job sites, homes, immigration, and school, many people started using the term Chicano to proudly associate themselves with their place in society. I plan to use the tools and content to educate myself on the topics we learn, but also teach my family, more specifically my younger brother, because he's in the age range that he asks a lot of questions, and he would ask me questions about our ancestors. I wouldn't really know the answers. I was like, oh, Google, it's free. But and he would ask my mom, and my mom wasn't as comfortable talking about it. And then he would ask my dad, and my dad also didn't really know much about it. So now I'm able to educate on not only myself but him as well. As Chicanos, we know little about our past ancestors, and we need to learn and understand the significance of many like murals, public figures, and like terms used in our community, which thankfully I really learned not only like their meaning but their significance in our community as well. As for my future, I really hope to work as a social worker and work for immigrant families down in San Diego. I have such a strong connection to Southern California and the people because of the range of ethnicities, religions, and like different backgrounds that everyone has and they're coming from. It just really makes me like once again like love the community that we have built for one another. Thank you so much for the semester. I really enjoyed it and learned lots.